Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Conscientious Conversation Moments. And I'm your host, Will Prophet. I hope your day is going well. I hope your year is starting off well. I hope that last year ended fairly well for you. And I hope you make the best out of this day and make the best out of tomorrow. So I wanted to talk to you today about something. Again, I think I might have went over this once or twice before, but it definitely is worth repeating. But I want to talk about mindset and mind shift. Excuse me. And with the mindset, mind shift, if you think something's not possible or you think something's out of reach, then by darn it, it definitely is going to be out of reach. And, if you, I hate to sound corny, but you need to believe it's possible before you can achieve it. If you don't believe something's possible, the likelihood of you achieving it and keeping it. I mean, we all have those times where things happen, right? And we say, oh man, I don't know how I came up with that idea or something like that. But the reality is, I don't believe things just happen. I believe that, you can. There's people, nowadays they use the term crack the code. There's people that crack the code and they say, oh, well, it was an accident. I don't know about that. I think, if you apply, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you believe, regardless of where you come from, if you apply the principles, you're going to see results for, just by applying the principles. Even if you have no idea what applying the principles are. I like a saying. I'm not a big lottery guy, but I like the saying that the lottery came up with some years ago, and they still have that saying to this day. They use it in all their advertisement, whether printed, billboards, television. They say, "Oh, you have to play in order to win. If you don't play, you don't win." And that's got some truth to it. I mean, even though we're, obviously in that respect, they're talking about gambling. But think about how true that is. If you don't play, I mean, if you're one of these people that if you don't buy a lottery ticket, then you got no chance at winning. You literally have no chance. It's not like they're saying, it's not like they're going to pick you out of a crowd or something like that. So obviously, in order to be a part of the game, you got to be in the game, and and you have to play it. And so, if you don't play it, if you're one of these guys that, you don't ever play it, then you're right. You don't have to worry about ever winning the lottery. You could say, hey, I'll never win the lottery, and you're 100% correct, because if you don't play it, you won't win it. That's not me condoning, the lottery or anything, or, what I'm getting at is simply, you have to believe it. You have to believe that you can achieve something. A lot of times the reason why people stay in a job too long, or people say, oh, I got a business associate of mine that one of our colleagues got him into a pretty successful job. He's in a pretty successful six-figure job, high six-figure paying job, and he made it a point to the guy told him when he got him the job, he said, hey, I'm getting this to help you, to help you kind of, get back on your feet and all this, but don't, I'm doing it. I don't expect 20 years from now, you to still be in this job. He says, regardless, you know, the gentleman that I'm referring to that got him the job was up in age. And he said, hey, even if I'm dead and gone, I don't want you to stick in this job. I'm just doing this to help you get by. And would you believe that guy, it's been probably 10 years that the guy that got him the job has passed. And this guy is still in this job. He's still in this job, and he's coming up on like 25, 30 years in this job. And, and it's like, wow, how disappointed would, the guy who got him the job be? And it's a mindset. It's a mindset. It's his mindset doesn't see him, he cannot see. He can only see that. He can only see giving 10, 15 hours a day to that. He can't see doing anything else. And because of that, he'll still be there. He'll still be there, probably until, God forbid, until he passes on. Right up until that day, And so it kind of goes back to what I said, the mindset, the mind shift. And the expectation of that, again, if you're doing something, you got to be realistic too. When we say this, we're talking about mindset, mind shift. You do also got to be realistic, in the sense that, a lot of people believe, I could, I remember I used to experience this, in my early days of getting into music. You would ask an artist, well, hey, how much do you, you're like, well, we're going to sell and do this. What's your goal? What's your goal for this? What's your goal? What kind of money do you want to make? And the guy would throw out this absorbent number. He would throw out just this random absorbent number, and you would look and you say, well, wait a minute. Okay. You want to make that much? Wow. The guy's throwing out this 7-figure number, and you're like, okay, well, how much did you do last year off of this? And he says, I didn't make any money last year. And you say, okay, well, how much did you do the year before? I didn't make any money off of it the year before. I only made a few $100s the year before. And okay, what about the year before that? So we go back 36 months and we see, okay, the most you've ever made doing this was a few $100s. So why the heck would you think that you're going to go from a few $100s to this absorbent number? It's a gradual process. A lot of times you might look just like maybe your favorite actor or your favorite musician. You might look and say, oh, wow, they just came out of nowhere. Trust me, they didn't just come out of nowhere. If you go back and you check, you'll find out that they've been at this thing a while. They've been doing this thing a while. And whether that while is a couple years or 10 years or 20 years, you find out that they've been doing it a while. They didn't just, they were walking down the street whistling and someone said, oh man, you're a good whistler. I'm going to now, here's this 7-figure deal. It's a process, and if you're applying the principles, if you're there, if you in your mindset, you say, hey, I know how to show up on time. That's the other thing. Someone tells you to be at a place at a certain time. You have to have that clock in your head. That clock in your head has to mean more to you than the clock on the wall. And what I mean by that is that you have to have an understanding within yourself that on time is late. So if a guy tells you to get there at 9 o'clock and you get there at 9 o'clock, you're late. You're late. That's it. You're late. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're late. If he says get there at 9, if someone says get there at 9 o'clock and you show up at 9:15, you show up at 9:45, you show up at 9:20, any other time before that, then now you're on time. Okay, now I'm not saying that, you got a meeting that starts at 9 that you should get there at 7 a.m., it starts at 9 a.m. and you get there at 7. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is if you look at life, guys, if you truly look at life, how many times have you done camp out overnight, 2-3 days in advance? Some of those guys out there that friends of mine that are what we call sneakerheads. They like to have the newest pair of shoes when they come out, and they will camp out 3-4 days in advance. Black Friday is another one, where people will sit there and camp out and wait to get what it is they're trying to get. And so you got to start applying those same principles to your life, and you got to be willing to follow that mind. You gotta have a mindset, and you have to shift your mind. There's times, there's times where if you want to kind of, as they say, turn everything off, and you want to kind of not be in the mood or in the mode. Either one of those, that's up to you. But in order to accomplish what you want, you have to go in order to accomplish it. And if you think anything different, or you think there's, you wouldn't, it doesn't apply to you, or you won't have to do this, trust me. I like the old the old saying, or it's not really a saying. It was a firsthand account of what Thomas Edison said. Thomas Edison tried to make the light bulb 1,000 times before that 1,000th time he got it right. And everyone said, well, they kind of asked him, does he feel stupid? Or, man, you tried all these times and failed. And, most of us would have probably gave up maybe the first 4 or 5 times. There's some people that got the resolve, and they would have probably tried 100 times or whatever. But his response to that was, no, he basically learned 999 ways how not to do it. And so, it comes down to that. So you have to apply the principles if you want the success that they bring. And mindset, have a mindset. And if you find that you don't have a mindset, make a have that shift, get that shift, and be willing. And here's the last thing, be willing to adjust, because sometimes what you start with is not going to carry you all the way through. So you have to be willing to make adjustments along the way. So you've been listening to Conscientious Conversation. I'm your host, Will Prophet. Go and continue to have a great day. Have a great week. Have a great month. And in all you do, go after it. Go.